Hello Stampers, welcome to another episode of Card Play. I have to tell you that today's card was actually inspired by Christina Werner's Finally Friday video last week. I love the combination of the craft color with the black, and that inspired this creation. So let's get started and I'll show you how to make it. We're going to start with a piece of Crumb Cake cardstock. This piece is 4 1/8 by 5 3/8, and we're going to create a great little effect and make this look like its own designer paper. We're going to take our classic basic black ink pad, and all I want you to do is direct to paper, and we're just going to give it a little bit of a weathered look, like so. And I'm going to actually heat that a little bit with the heat tool just to get it dry. And now we're going to hit that with our Whisper White Craft ink. And the reason why I dried the black was I didn't want to get a bunch of black on my Whisper White craft pad. So we're just going to drag this Whisper White craft pad on here a bit, again to give this piece a little aged and weathered look. And we're going to also hit that with our heat gun again, since I don't have a lot of patience. We're now going to take our basic black ink again, and we're going to take our Baroque Border small wheel, and we're just going to ink up that wheel. And I just like to use my ink pads to ink things up. You can also use the cartridges that get placed in the wheel, but this way I figure I can wheel in any color that I want and not have to buy all of those cartridges. So we're just going to wheel right here on the edge to give it a nice Halloween spooky look. And now we're going to take that same basic black ink and our basic black sponge and just go ahead and sponge those edges really well. And you may want to go around more than once to give these edges a really nice spooky Halloween look as well. And we're just going to set that aside for now. The next thing we're going to do is take a piece of Designer Series paper. This paper is actually the Designer Series paper pattern stack, the Neutrals collection. There are all kinds of great neutral patterns in here in a bunch of different neutral colors. And I chose this one, seemed kind of spooky to me, and we're going to adjust it in two different ways. First, we're going to take our basic black ink again, and we're going to sponge those edges. Great. And in case you were wondering, this piece of Designer Series paper is 3 inches by 4 inches. The next thing we're going to do to jazz this paper up a little bit is take our two-way glue, and just in the center of each of these little designs we're going to put a little bit of two-way glue, and then we're going to come in with our Dazzling diamonds to give this piece just a little bit of sparkle. You can always look for ways to jazz up your designer paper. You can always add crystal effects, a little bit of glitter, a little bit of Dazzling diamonds, or maybe even some embossing powder or white gel pen, just to give your designer paper a little bit of pop and interest. So let's take our Dazzling diamonds and get that all glittered up. And there we go. And this is going to end up going on the card. We're just going to set that aside right now to let it dry. And let's go ahead and stamp our greeting. This greeting, this trick-or-treat greeting, is actually from the Holiday Best stamp set. It was a Hostess set that's now retired, but I believe you don't always have to buy things new, that you can absolutely use what you have on hand. We're going to take a piece of Crumb Cake cardstock, and we're going to stamp this greeting in basic black. And you can emboss this if you wanted. I'm just going to go ahead and stamp it. There we go. And now we're going to take our extra large decorative label punch. I love this new punch. And we're going to go ahead and punch out that trick-or-treat greeting. And of course, we need to go ahead and sponge these edges. Okay, so now we have these 3 pieces. We're going to need a basic black card. This card is standard size, so 5 1/2. by 8.5 and just scored in the middle. That's going to be our card base. To put this together, first we want to adhere our designer series paper onto our created background, and to do that I'm going to use my jumbo two-way adhesive just for time's sake. And we're going to place that right here in the middle. Great. And then you'll notice on the card I used a piece of black satin ribbon. So let's take a piece of black satin ribbon, and we're going to have that piece of ribbon kind of come here and then around back. So this ribbon is about 5 inches long, and we're going to cut that ribbon with my favorite craft and paper scissors that cut ribbon beautifully if you only use them on ribbon. So I have that marked so that I only use it on ribbon. And we're also going to just clip the end of that piece. And to adhere this ribbon, I'm just going to go ahead and put two-way adhesive. You can use snail or sticky strip on your ribbon, but I'm just going to put that adhesive there and then place the ribbon on the card. Right about there. That looks great. And you're just going to wrap it around the back. And I love these techniques that don't use a whole lot of ribbon. You get a lot of bang for a little bit of buck. We're also going to embellish this piece of ribbon with one of our new products that I'm loving. These really, really great basic jewels, the Rhinestones. These are all self-adhesive. So let's open these up. And I'm going to use one of these smaller ones. You could just pop these right off. Whoops. And I'm just going to place it right there on the card. Great. And last but not least, we're going to take our greeting and we're going to pop that up using dimensionals onto the front of our card. And we're going to place that right about there. And then we're just going to adhere this to the front of our card. So let's use two-way adhesive and just adhere that to the front of our card. Now you could just leave the card like this and write inside with a white gel pen or a silver gel pen, but for our purposes I'm going to go ahead and put another piece on the inside so that you can write with a regular pen. So we're going to take another piece of Crumb Cake cardstock. This is 4 by 5 1/4, and we're just going to go ahead and do the exact same direct paper technique. This time only using black instead of the craft ink. And you don't have to do the whole thing. You can just do a little bit like that. And then we're going to go ahead and sponge those edges again. And then we're going to adhere that right onto the inside of the card using double-sided adhesive. And there you have it, a really fun and simple, spooky Halloween card, making your own designer series paper and using a bit of designer series paper and embellishing it a little bit with dazzling diamonds. I hope you've enjoyed this edition of Card Play. I look forward to seeing you again, hopefully very soon, here in the craft room.